The Cave of the Lost. Written by Russ Booyak. Illustrated by Thomas Boatwright. My best friend Sarah, my little brother Jake, and I are standing before the entrance to a large cave. Odie, my brother's dog, barks into the darkness. Odie thinks someone is in there, Jake says. Is this where you saw the boy? I ask Sarah. She stares up through the hole between the trees at the edge of the gorge. I think he was standing right here waving, she replies. We're not going in there, are we, Quinn? You're the one who saw the mysterious boy waving at you. You're the one who had us leave the picnic and climb all the way down to the bottom of Phineas Gorge to help him. Now you don't want to go in? That's the Cave of the Lost, she cries. What kind of ridiculous name is that? I ask. I bet your aunt told you about it. She did. Centuries ago, after Porter's Mill was built, some people explored the cave and they never came out. Others went to search for them and disappeared, too. Only one man ever made it out, but he couldn't explain how. He claimed he found others, Sarah continues, but they kept leading him in the wrong directions. Finally, after many days, he fell asleep in the cave and woke up in the hollow, alone. Your aunt tells a lot of stories, I say. We still can't wander around in there, Sarah says. The place is probably filled with massive spiders. Hey, kid, I yell into the cave. Do you need help? My voice echoes for a moment, followed by silence. Then something unexpected reaches my ears. It sounds almost like laughter. Let's go in, Jake exclaims. A new sound emerges from the cave. Someone is crying in there, I say. Seeing an opportunity, Jake charges into the darkness, but I seize his arm. Hold on, little man. We need light, I say. Do you have your keychain, Sarah? She tosses me her house keys with a little quacker keychain I gave her for her last birthday. When I squeeze it, the light in the duck's mouth comes on, and it quacks over and over. Jake, hang on to Odie. I don't want him running off, I say. Roger, he replies, and picks up the dog. I take a few steps inside, shining the light as the quacks echo around us. I hear Sarah reluctantly follow. A short distance inside, we reach the first fork. Don't freak out, I say as I turn off the light. The quacks fade, and intense darkness presses in on us. Sarah whimpers, but after a moment, I hear the weeping again. It comes from the left passage, so I squeeze the little quacker and start moving again. We encounter a few more forks, and I can see how someone could easily become lost down here. I memorize each turn as we creep closer to the sound. Finally, the passage expands into a chamber. On the far wall, water trickles down the rock into a clear pool. 6 other passages branch off in random directions. I turn off the quacker, and in the absolute darkness, I only hear the running water. Suddenly, a splash breaks the silence. I run over to the small pool, the keychain quacking again. The light glints off something in the sand at the bottom of the clear, undisturbed water. The frigid water sends shivers through my body as I plunge my hand down. "It's a key," I say, holding it up to the light. "A key to what?" Sarah asks as I put it in my pocket. Laughter erupts all around us at once. Children's laughter. Sarah screams, and I drop the quacker, tumbling us into blackness. I grope for it as the laughter continues to grow. A small hand grasps mine and jerks me away. "Stop it, Jake. We need the light." Finally, I feel the keychain, and the light blossoms, filling the room. Sarah stands a few feet away from me, and Jake stands behind her, holding Odie. "Jake, did you grab my hand?" I ask. The laughter is still there, getting louder. "Let's get out of here," Sarah yells as she bolts for one of the passages. "This one," I yell, realizing I'm pointing to the one I had been pulled toward. I follow the turns I memorized as the laughter shadows us, echoing through the passage. After the last turn, I expect to see the intense light of day. It's only another fork, and I have no idea which way to go. I retrace the turns in my head, certain that I've followed them exactly. Has the cave changed? "We're lost, aren't we?" Sarah asks. I'm really scared. Everything is going to be okay. I turn off the light, hoping to hear the gurgling river. The laughter grows louder. It seems threatening, almost menacing, but then I hear the sound of someone running away to my right. I turn on the light and look around for Jake. He stands between Sarah and me. "Did you hear that?" I ask. "The footsteps?" Sarah replies. "I thought that was you." I shake my head, and Sarah's eyes widen. "We should follow them," I say. "They could be trying to make us more lost." "I don't think so," I say, and start walking. We come across more forks, and each time I stop to listen. The footsteps come again and again, leading us away from the laughter. Suddenly, we come to the mouth of the cave. The light is painfully bright, but we run into it, laughing. Sarah tugs at my shirt. "Quinn, look," she says, pointing up through the small hole. There, looking over the edge of the gorge, is the distant figure of a small boy. He is waving down to us. He looks very familiar, but I can't explain why, I say. The Return to the Hollow, Part 1. Written by Russ Booyak. Illustrated by Thomas Boatwright. We're in the cafeteria hanging orange and black streamers on the tables. The librarian at the public library knows Principal Taylor and told him about our unauthorized trip into the attic. Helping decorate for tomorrow's Halloween party is our punishment. "The journal we found in my dad's office belonged to my mom," Sarah whispers. "What makes you say that?" I ask, carefully twisting the paper and taping it to the table. I examined it carefully, and the handwriting looked similar to a letter she wrote me a long time ago. And her name is written inside the cover. Great detective work, Sherlock. I laugh. Well, I've been reading the book from the library, and it's missing pages. The pages that might give us some useful information, of course. Ladies, this isn't social hour, Principal Taylor says. We have plenty of streamers. Why don't you help Mrs. Shoemaker with the skeletons? Later that night, Sarah works on her costume in my room. I sit on the bed, the tome we sneaked out of the library and Sarah's mom's journal open in front of me. The loose pages in your mom's notebook are the missing pages from the book, I say. That's why I brought it over, Sarah mumbles around the pins in her mouth. She's trying to sew strips of shimmering fabric to her fairy wings. I should have had Aunt Tara do this. She's a much better seamstress than I'll ever be. Your mom talks about finding the same book we found at the library. She was doing some sort of research on strange occurrences around town with her sister. I knew your Aunt Tara was hiding something. Does it say why she was researching? Sarah asks. Not that I can tell. It seems to be a collection of research notes. It says, keep moving forward. Make sure everything is in its place, over and over. I read that, Sarah says. It was strange reading her writing. I can't really remember her voice, so I just kept wondering what it would sound like if she were saying those things. I don't know what to say, so I keep flipping through the pages. She does note an old lantern that hung over Porter's Mill's front door, and how John Porter's wife was a seamstress. I unfold the large, yellowing pages that had been stuffed in the journal. The pages she tore out of the book tell about some sort of geologic event that changed the path of the river. Your mom has a note in her journal that says, no recorded geologic disturbances in area. I read from the yellowing pages. The mill had to close down, and while they were making plans to relocate it, John Porter's wife passed away. Sarah sets her costume aside and joins me on the bed. That's terrible, she says. John Porter and their adopted children were devastated. Plans to relocate the mill were canceled, and not long after, they stopped appearing in town. Others went into the forest to seek them, but couldn't find the mill, supposedly becoming lost in the maze of forest paths. This is sounding more and more like some spooky story, Sarah whimpers. Totally, I say as I unfold another page torn from the book. Look at this, though. It's a map, Sarah exclaims. An old map of the hollow and the town of Porter's Mill. The river doesn't run in its usual path around the woods. It runs right through the middle. Your mom circled this mark. I point to a spot close to the top of the map. It's faded, but it looks like it says Porter's Mill. I suddenly get the chills, but then I stop myself. Things are lining up a bit too well for me to accept coincidence as an excuse. I think about Halloween night last year, meeting that strange boy in the hollow and being chased by those laughing voices. The whole thing seemed like a big hoax, and it was completely possible that the kid and his friends were just playing elaborate jokes all along. Sarah or I had seen a young boy at the Cave of the Lost and by the lake when we were camping. They could have easily been the ones who pulled all the pranks and framed Rob Turtle. and they could have been in the library that day we found the tome. We took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. I look at Sarah's face, which is filled with fright and more than a little sadness. From the inside, the joke seems incredibly cruel. From the outside, our reactions probably seemed hilarious. All this could just be a horrific joke by some nasty kids, I say, trying to sound comforting. Sarah shakes her head. You might be right, but even if it is a joke, it led me to Mom's journal. It's a piece of her I never knew about. I need to know more. I need to know why she went into the hollow, and I have to try to find out why she never came out. I've never seen Sarah with this kind of resolve. She seems stronger, and I suddenly feel proud of her. Let's go talk to Aunt Tara, she says. These are not good questions for children, Aunt Tara says when Sarah shows her the journal. Give that back and let's work on your costume. No, Aunt Tara, I'm sorry, but I need to know what happened with Mom. Sarah's voice is calm and direct. The journal is just random notes, and we don't know how they all go together. Please, what happened? A shadow of emotion passes over Aunt Tara's face. I don't think she ever really expected Sarah to ask these questions. She sighs and says, "Sit with me, children." Your mother, she says to Sarah, was the best of friends with Quinn's Uncle Jasper. He was quite the young explorer, and he stayed with us in our village in Nepal. He helped our family come to the United States years ago. Jasper even introduced your mother and father. I never knew any of that, Sarah said. When Jasper disappeared, Anna was devastated, Aunt Tara continued. She was determined to find him. He was also my friend, so I helped however I could. One day, Anna asked me to watch you, Sarah, and didn't come back for a long time. Too long. Your father and I were very worried. She came back with the key, scissors, and lantern. She said they had belonged to John Porter and his wife. Anna showed me a map, an old map, and said she could find Porter's Mill. And she said this was where Jasper had disappeared. Why? What was at Porter's Mill? I ask. I don't know. Adventure, I suppose, Aunt Tara whispers. All I know is Anna took those things with her and disappeared herself. Now you have found them, and I think someone is playing a mean joke. That's why I took them away. I don't want you to be hurt. Aunt Tara stands up, wipes her eyes, and smiles at us. That's all I know. No more secrets. I'll go make you girls holiday cookies in pumpkin shapes. You'd like that, no? She leaves without waiting for our response. We listen to Aunt Tara moving around in the kitchen for a few minutes. Suddenly, Sarah looks straight at me and says, Well, that settles it. Settles what? We have to go into the hollow tomorrow night and find Porter's Mill. To be continued. The Return to the Hollow, Part 2. Written by Russ Bouillock. Illustrated by Thomas Boatwright. I can't believe we're doing this again, Sarah says as we stand on the street looking into the hollow. It seems as if the trees are reaching out, trying to pull us into the darkness. As near as I can tell, this is the beginning of the path, I say, folding up the map and putting it in my backpack with the scissors and lantern. Odie, my brother's dog, barks and wags his tail at something in the darkness. I begged my mother to let me go trick-or-treating alone this year, but she insisted that I take Jake or stay home. "What is it, boy?" Jake asks. Odie whines at the end of his leash. "Now is as good a time as any," I say, and adjust my backpack. "Are we going to see that boy from last year?" Jake asks as we step off the pavement. "Maybe," I reply, sharing an anxious look with Sarah. "I hope so," Jake says. Not far beyond the edge of the trees, the darkness presses in on us. I scan with my flashlight, but see nothing. One look at Sarah tells me she feels it too. The forest seems to have even more skeletal branches than last year pulling at our clothes. Of course, Jake and Odie just barrel ahead. We walk for some time, stopping occasionally to pull out the map and compass. It's difficult to tell, but I think we're headed in the right direction. During one of these pauses, Odie's ears perk up, and Jake asks, "What's that noise?" Sarah and I both stand still, and then we hear it, a child humming. Moving quickly and quietly, we walk toward the sound. We come to the edge of the clearing, and it only takes a moment for me to recognize it. The same thorn bush still grows in the center, a little larger now. Just like last year, the boy steps out from behind it, smiling as if he sees old friends. He's wearing the same clothes as last year and looks just as pale. Odie barks and runs to the boy, Jake not far behind. Soon they're chasing each other and laughing. "There you are," the boy says, looking at Sarah and me. "I've been waiting for you." The boy tilts his head and starts to walk away. He stops at the edge of the trees and calls back, "Are you coming?" Jake and Odie start following him. We plunge after the boys, once again crashing through the forest, holding our flashlight in front of us. This time, however, we're heading deeper into the hollow, not toward the safety of the streetlights. The boy moves so fast, we can hardly keep up. "Where are we going?" I call, wishing I could stop and look at my map. "Where you've been headed," the boy says with a laugh. As his laugh ends, it's picked up by someone else, and then someone else, until we're surrounded by children's laughter. "Keep moving forward," the boy calls. We do, Jake laughing and Odie barking in the front with Sarah and me running behind, terrified. Suddenly, we nearly crash into a wall of dark leaves. I try to push some leaves aside to find something behind the wall, but all I see is more darkness. "What do we do now?" Sarah cries. The laughter increases. The boy stands off to the side, smiling. "What's this?" Jake asks. He points to an opening, but it's covered with what look like spider webs. I touch them. They feel strong. I try to push through, but they just seem to stretch and spring back into place. I think I hear something hissing in the leaves, but can't be sure with all the laughing children. "Keep moving forward," the boy says, standing beside the opening. I feel Sarah unzipping my backpack. She steps forward, brandishing the scissors and snipping her way through the webs. We follow Sarah as she cuts a path down a steep bank. I quickly shine my light around and see what look like hundreds of small black eyes staring at us. I keep moving, not wanting to know what they belong to. We climb up another bank and come out on the other side, brushing the clinging webs from our clothes. "This way," the boy says, and runs off again. "Who are you?" Sarah asks, but the boy doesn't answer. He moves slower through the woods now, which is good because the underbrush is thick. I feel as though we're being watched. The laughter is quieter now, but somehow that makes it more menacing. The wall we passed through sometimes appears right beside us, and at other times we can just make it out through the trees. "The wall of leaves," I whisper to Sarah. "It twists and turns, almost like—" "A river," she interrupts. "Where are the other kids?" Jake asks. "They're coming," the boy replies. Something about this makes me feel more anxious. Suddenly, the boy turns a corner and is gone. We can't see where, but before us is what looks like a giant tree, the trunk of which is surrounded by thick vines with huge leaves. The laughter is closer now. Jake and Odie are looking around as if they hear it for the first time. I don't know what to do or where to go. I want to curl up in the leaves and hide, but I can't. I look at Sarah. Her determined expression as she looks at this giant tree makes me pause. I've never seen her like this. She looks almost brave. "Always keep moving forward," she says as she starts to pull at the vines. They're thick and strong, but with both of us working together, they start to give way. Even Jake comes and helps. Then we grab something that we can't pull down. It's cold and hard. "It's a metal hook," she says, "to hang something off of." The laughter is even closer now, and I swear I can see the underbrush moving around us. "Everything in its place," I hear Sarah say. "Give me the lantern." I open my pack and hand the lantern to her. "I think we need to light it," she says. "I don't have matches," I reply. "Don't play with matches," Jake says. "I learned from a book how to start a fire in an emergency." He drops to his hands and knees and starts combing along the ground. "Aha!" Jake exclaims and runs over with two plain-looking rocks. Sarah opens the lantern and Jake scrapes the rocks together, sending sparks flying. After a few tries, a small flame catches on the oil-soaked wick. Sarah closes the door and places the lantern on the hook. The movement and laughter are very close now. Odie starts to bark at the wall. It's a happy bark, as if he's found something. We turn around to see the lamplight reflecting dimly off a door handle we hadn't seen before. Sarah and I turn it and push. With a loud creak, it swings inward. Jake and Odie rush inside. Sarah and I look at each other. She gives me a knowing smirk and nods before crawling into the opening through the vines. I wait until she's clear. The leaves right next to me are moving now, and I think I can hear what sound like little feet. "Come on," I hear Sarah yell, and I dive through the vines as Sarah slams the door shut behind me. The Return to the Hollow, Part 3. Written by Russ Bouillock. Illustrated by Thomas Boatwright. I picked myself up off the floor after jumping through the hidden door. On the other side, it's quiet, almost completely silent. The laughter of the children who chased us through the hollow has disappeared. Sarah presses herself against the door. Jake and Odie are already using Jake's flashlight to explore. We're in a large room. It's curved with a staircase wrapping around the wall. It doesn't really look as if it has been abandoned for long. More like someone messy has been living here. Where are we? I ask. Porter's Mill, Sarah whispers. I can't believe we're actually here. We start to look around and find many toys, some broken, some well cared for. Plates and silverware, and some old bags and kitchen supplies litter the corners. Be careful, Jake, I say as he picks up a broken toy. I wonder what's upstairs, Sarah says as she heads up. Sarah gasps, and I rush upstairs. The space is just as large as below, but it looks as if it used to be divided into rooms. The walls have large holes in them now, and when I shine my light in, I can see small beds. Sarah kneels in one of these rooms, brushing at something in her hands with her flashlight clenched between her head and neck. She holds it up to the light, and I can see it's a pendant of some sort. Sarah opens it. Inside are 2 aged photos. On the left is a younger version of Sarah's dad, smiling. On the right is a baby with thick, black, curly hair. That's me, Sarah says with a sob. That's me. This was my mother's. I reach out to comfort her, and she suddenly jumps up and starts frantically running around the rooms. There has to be more, she says. She was here, so she must have left something else for me. I try to help, but neither of us find anything. I've never seen Sarah look so disappointed. I'm sorry, is all I can say when we've searched every nook and cranny. Sarah just shakes her head and gives me a smile. At least I found something. Thanks for your help, she says. Jake laughs loudly downstairs, but then we hear more laughter, children's laughter. Sarah and I bolt down the stairs. Jake and Odie chase the boy around the middle of the room, surrounded by laughing children we've never seen before. The boys all wear similar costumes, while the girls wear dresses that look just as old. As soon as they see us, they fall silent, looking upward with sorrowful expressions. They came out of hiding, Jake exclaims. Who are you? Sarah asks. The boy from the hollow nudges a young girl forward. We're very sorry, she says. We thought trying to scare you would be fun, but it was cruel. A multitude of apologies follow hers. They didn't want you to come here, the boy says. We liked playing outside, Thomas, the girl whines. Our play was hurting others, the boy named Thomas replies, and turns back to us. We needed to play here, where we wouldn't cause problems, but we needed your help getting in. This isn't really a good place for children to be playing alone, I say. We're not alone, the boy says. Sarah steps forward, holding out the locket she found. This was my mother's. Was she here? Where did she go? This happened years ago. They would have been too young to know anything, I say. We're older than we look, Thomas says. Maybe those will help. He points to a small cupboard hanging on the wall. I walk over and pull out a short stack of papers with small, neat handwriting on them. A few pages have drawings. One looks as though it could be the mill. Another is of an ornate door. "What are these?" I ask. I show them to Sarah, and she shakes her head, not recognizing them. I flip to the back page, where the handwriting suddenly becomes neat and clear. "I'm about to step through the door," it reads. "If you find these papers, then I haven't returned. Please tell my brother, his wife, and my wonderful niece Quinn that I love them very much." A signature is scrawled across the bottom. "This is my Uncle Jasper's," I say, astonished. "What door is he talking about?" The kids all jump into action, running to a section in the floor and pulling at the corners. With a loud creak, it lifts up. Jake, Sarah, and I shine our lights down. A steep staircase disappears into the darkness. "Come on," Thomas says, and disappears down the stairs. As usual, Jake and Odie zip after him. "Jake, wait!" I yell, but it's too late. We have no choice but to go after them. We run down the stairs and end up in a passageway carved into the rock. Surprisingly, all the children follow us as we run to keep up with Thomas, Jake, and Odie. The tunnel twists and turns, but we're running too fast for me to keep track. Suddenly, Thomas stops. Sarah and I try to catch our breath as Jake shines his flashlight around and says, "Hey, we've been here before. It's the Cave of the Lost." I look around and realize he's right. The multiple tunnels, the water dripping, and the icy pool are all there. "This is where we found the key," I say, pulling it out of my pocket. "Put it in there," Thomas says, pointing to the trickle of water. "Where?" I ask. Thomas continues to point. I can't see anything in the rock, so I start feeling around. The freezing water runs down my arm and I shiver. Then I feel it, a small hole, just about the right size for a key. I hesitate a moment and then stick it in and turn it. We hear a slight click followed by rumbling, and then the sound of water filling something up. "Look," Sarah says. The stone around the keyhole begins to crumble and fall away like clods of dirt. The water seems to spread itself out, washing away more and more stone. Underneath, an ornately carved door appears. We stare at it a long time. "Are you going through?" Thomas asks. The other kids echo him. "What's on the other side?" I ask. "We don't know," Thomas replies. Sarah and I look at each other. We know we could go home right now, and everything would be as it was before. We could have normal, happy lives, but somewhere, deep down, we'd always wonder, what's behind the door? Could we have found her mother and my uncle? Could we have brought our families back together? "I think," I begin, but don't have a chance to finish. Jake walks up to the door, grabs the knob, and says, "I wonder where this goes." As he opens the door, the cave fills with yellow light, and by the time our eyes adjust, he and Dodie are gone. I shake my head, exasperated. The choice has been made. Sarah and I hold hands as we step into the doorway and begin to fall.